if I find love on the 4th of July, like, God bless America. That if I tried to ask her to do another one for me for like next week, she would be like, you need to settle down, Katie girl.
Welcome to Allegedly. Welcome to Allegedly. Welcome to Allegedly.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the greatest podcast
that you've ever heard in your whole entire life.
Today's episode, we are going into the future. It's only uphill from here, baby girl. So we have a lot to look forward to in the future.
Absolutely. I just love going into the future. Most specifically, talking to psychics so that they can tell me my life is not worthless.
So you did a reading today.
I did a reading today. So I
How does that work though? Because did you go see someone today? Did you talk to them virtually? What was the situation there?
Okay, so let me paint this picture for you, okay?
I'm ready.
So about a month ago, I found this like tarot psychic reader on Instagram, and she's from Phoenix. She does readings through YouTube essentially. So like you'll schedule basically the day that she's going to do your reading. And then she records a 30-minute YouTube video for you and just sends it over to you. So like,
is there any sort of like live contact at all?
Yes and no. So like not actually like during the reading, but what she does is like, so she'll send you the video and then I go watch it. And then I'll just DM her like any questions I have. And then she'll start like, if she needs to like clarify or anything, she'll start pulling cards because like based on what I'm asking her.
Okay.
Or I'll just be like, holy crap, like you were on point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So how many readings have you had from this person?
Keyword is from this person. So
yeah. Well, that was going to be my next question. How many like different psychics have you had?
Okay, so I've been a little bit of a player. I've been in the game.
She's been in the game for quite some time. She's gotten around.
Yep. So she is technically since no, oh my God, this is going to make me sound like a psychopath. Since November, she is the 4th person I've talked to.
I don't think it sounds that bad simply because I think, well, like one of the things I was thinking about psychics in general is they're like, obviously I'm a skeptic to it all, but like there's going to be good ones and bad ones if it's real. And I'm simply saying that because of the Goop podcast or the Goop documentary.
Honestly, Goop changed my life, first of all. Second of all, that's for another day, another topic, because also the thing that's like crazy with the psychics is like, you're right. The first person I talked to, she was more like having people who passed away kind of like come through, and she would like feel pain in places where people from my family like how
they would pass.
Yeah, essentially. So that was like kind of weird, kind of nice to get some confirmation on like, hey, like I'm doing fine, like it's okay. You know, but then it's also like you gotta flip to the selfish side and be like, when is baby girl gonna find love? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think, well, that seems to be the two different things. I guess like originally whenever it was in mainstream media, it seemed like it was all related to the dead or to someone who's passed. And then the other thing that like I've heard from you is more so future telling, which is confusing. So like, are there specialists? Does everyone have both talents? Like what's going on here?
So I think that like people have different
capabilities, talents, specialties.
I don't know I don't necessarily want to call it a specialty.
Do you think
But
like in the way that that documentary that we talked about earlier, do you think everyone is psychic or no?
kind of.
And that
Well,
you could just get better at it in time?
I think that like everyone obviously has intuition, and it's like whether you are comfortable with it, and
Like
like
leaning into it, I guess.
yeah, exactly. And you're kind of like actively channeling it almost. I don't know if that's the right word to say. Like I'm not around a bonfire like summoning my spirits by any means, but like I think being open to and just like trying to like understand that side of things, like definitely I think there's things all the time that happen where I'm like, yeah, I knew that was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
My For
You have
example,
like from a reading or just from your own intuition?
that things that have happened,
Yeah.
oh, from my own intuition.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, you've heard it here first, I'm a psychic. No, but like for example, like it's low key things. I feel like my hair stylist Caitlin, last month I was on my way to get my hair done, and as I was driving there I was like, Caitlin's gonna tell me today that she's pregnant.
No way.
And literally within the first less than 5 minutes she was like, so guess what? And I didn't want to be like, you're pregnant, and then her be like, no. And she told me she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just little things, like not necessarily like seen visions, that's so Raven status,
I was gonna say that.
but like I don't know, it's just kind of like a gut feeling almost.
Right.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah. So
Can't say that I can relate to that. I
that's
think just
that's
because I'm
because
like,
you're closed off.
yeah, well, I'm just like super realist. I'm super realistic in my thinking.
Absolutely.
But I do think that like I appreciate like people who have really concrete examples, or like people who can speak more informational when they don't sound like they're a con artist at the same time.
Yes.
Because
I
them too,
Yeah.
where they get
So
such a bad rep.
yeah, I totally agree. So there's this girl April who I did a reading with in December. She's really great. I like her Instagram is pretty awesome. She does like daily like intuition tests essentially that you can watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically there will be like 3 card spreads, and then based on your intuition you'll pick one of the piles, and then that's essentially your reading.
So is the card supposed to tell you something about your individual future?
Okay, it's not necessarily like,
Because that's where I kind of get concerned, I guess, is like as like the skeptic, I think that if it was going to be something that I was going to be more bought into, the idea of someone having like an intuition or some sort of talent, that makes more sense to me, or I guess that's more believable than like a physical object that is now altering or predicting the future. You see where I'm coming from?
yes. So the cards, like, she could flip over a card that literally says like yes.
Because listen, I played Uno. We shuffle, we shuffle, we shuffle.
Right. She shuffles.
So what? I don't. She'll flip a card over and then say
okay,
what?
So what I'm saying is like the card could literally, like on it, it could literally just say yes. And then maybe she pulls another card and it'll say like career. And so then essentially what can be inferred from it is like maybe this person is going through like questions about their career, or am I in the right career, like whatever you're kind of questioning at that time.
Right.
The yes essentially would be like affirmation that like
It's
whatever,
like your magic 8 ball moment.
yes, exactly. So like it's not always like, hey, so by the way, in 6 months you're gonna meet the love of your life and you're gonna ride off into the sunset with ponies. Now that would be great, but
right,
sometimes it's like really not great.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyways, then I started talking to, her name is Katie. And she did my first reading about a month ago.
And that one was super intense, right?
Yeah, it
Or
was
super detailed.
Yeah, she was incredibly detailed. So she would talk about essentially, April does this as well, but so say she's pulling on love and I have a question about like a specific person, or I'm just saying like who is like my next match or something. She could
Right.
pull a card and like it would be like, for example, the Knight of Cups. So cups in tarot, which is like the cards essentially.
Lord, so much to this.
Well, just listen up, okay? I'm trying to tell you.
Educate, baby, educate.
I'm trying to educate you. So like cups would mean water. So like a water sign. So the 3 water signs. So she would say like this water sign male is like who you're going to be with or something like that. Or, you know, she could identify it. Some people have like oracle decks, which is a whole different thing. I won't confuse you, but there could literally be a card that would be like, oh, like this guy is like a Scorpio.
Shout out to Scorpio. That's who I am.
I know. I said it to like help you feel attacked. But anyway, so last month my reading with her was like super detailed, but parts of it I was feeling hopeful about my love life, and other parts I was like, wow, that is just not the turn I thought we were taking. So I was supposed to have this reading tomorrow, but I'm glad that we actually did it today so that we can kind of unpack what happened.
Let's hear it.
So she called, or I mean, not called, sorry. She DM'd
She recorded.
So she DM'd me today asking if she could do it today instead. And then she was like, so like what questions or what subject do you want me to look into? And I was like, well, like definitely you want to, you know, hear about the love life, do a little spot check.
She's like, I'm just gonna ask and see, but I know she wants love.
Well, the thing is like we all want love, but also like baby girl has been single for 5 years. Like we need to fix this. And almost every time that have done a reading, if I've asked about love, they'll be like, yeah, you should just work on yourself.
Yeah, keep working on yourself.
There's gonna be a point where like the cards just come out blank and potentially say like, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like
try again next time.
Exactly. So obviously told her to check in there, but then I was like, what I want to know about for sure is, you know, the vibes on this podcast. And
oh hell yeah, did you ask her that?
Yeah, you think I would lie to you?
So you said, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So wait, what did she say?
Wait.
Sorry, this is my first reading.
Backpedal, baby, backpedal. No, so I was like, I, you know, have been starting like blogging and trying to up, you know, the hashtag Instagame. And I was like, and I'm starting this podcast on March 1st. I just kind of want to know because in 3 readings with 3 of the 4 people, they have specifically told me that they see me going into a creative field. And one psychic tarot reader even specifically said a social media field.
I'm sure you love that.
Oh, I was dead. But they very much talked about how like for like a while it's going to be like a side hustle until it, you know, turns, obviously, right. Which naturally can't just up and quit my job when we're making 25 cents through my Amazon storefront. No, but anyway, so yes, of course I asked about the podcast. So do you want to know like everything, or you want to just know about the pod? I know you're
Well,
selfish.
obviously I'm being very selfish. So like, are we canceled or what?
No, so um to be honest, I was like very selfish, and I was like, please focus on the love before the
Uh, I mean, I understand.
But the thing is like she was very much focused on love, and then the like social media / podcast like really was coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically was like, there is just gonna be like a point where like in all aspects of your life, like with the podcast, with everything, like everything's just going to blow up essentially.
Right.
And she was like, and that's like when the love is gonna be happening, like all that. So that was pretty crazy. And then she some of the cards that came out that specifically she said were related to the podcast was opportunity and abundance, which means we're about to be rich.
Which means sponsors and subscribers, baby.
Sponsors and subscribers. Yeah, so like there wasn't a whole lot of details since I, specifically asked for love.
The question that we now have is, are you going to find love before the success? Because we don't want anyone here for clout.
So you're
have you asked
for
that?
Clout.
Yeah, wait, say that again.
I said you're here for the clout.
I was like, excuse me, baby girl. Because like, what's gonna come first?
So she was getting some good vibes around July for the career and love. So like we've got a moment.
We've got to get our summer bodies so tight right now.
No,
that's kind of overwhelming. I don't know how I would be able to approach something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's like pretty cool.
Do you think that it could be damaging in the sense that like if she were to tell you some specific date and then you were to find someone, you were just like, oh, well, like they're not going to be important because Sandra told me that July is when I'm going to find somebody?
So here's the thing. She pulled like two cards that like when she was shuffling, essentially what happens is like, it's hard to explain, but cards will just like fly out of the deck.
Oh, wow.
I don't like it.
Allegedly. This is our first allegedly moment.
No. Like you see it on, like it's hard to explain and it sounds very silly, but she's not shuffling
she's
it.
Like, oh my.
She's not shuffling it like like you would shuffle an Uno deck. Like it's a different way of shuffling and cards will just like pop out. And the crazy thing is that, and she said she had only ever seen this one time before in all her times like reading people, I guess, is the two cards that flew out next to each other in the same deck were July and then Firecracker. So she goes, something is happening on the 4th of July. So she's
like, oh shit, the 4th of July is gonna be good for you.
So you know that on the 4th of July I'm gonna be in my Sunday's best, but I'm also going to be sitting on my roof with some binoculars.
That's crazy.
I know. Yeah. So we'll see. Like it was weird because whenever she said that, I legit got chills. Like it was just like a weird feeling of like, yeah, you know.
You were so patriotic that you got chills down that spine, baby girl.
Honestly, if I find love on the 4th of July, like God bless America. So I will schedule another reading. Maybe you should get a reading.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
I think that would be great if you got a reading asking about the pod. Because I think that if I tried to ask her to do another one for me for like next week, she would be like, you need to settle down, Katie girl.
Like you've been served, you've been read.
She'd be like, you need to wait until next month. But we have monthly appointments.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like if you are reading into the future and then you ask tomorrow, it's all the same.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy. Like it's an interesting guide, but then you have to remember like the universe and like the way that you operate essentially can change at any moment. So like I could turn right and I was supposed to turn left, and then all of a sudden July 4th not finding love. So essentially she was like, you need to look for the number 4. Like 4 is your love reassurance number. What's kind of weird is I just looked over at my coffee table and I have a book on my coffee table that's called The 4-Hour Body. So that's, that's
so
strange.
I think what that means is it's the 4-hour body. We just talked about your summer body. You need to get that ready. And then on the 4th of July, it's all going to connect.
I fully agree with that.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, well, and like health came up. She was like, "You should probably see a doctor. I don't like to say you're sick, but
like, you have problems."
And next podcast, I'm like, "So guys, I went to the doctor and I'm dying."
Basically, what this is you're just going to be checked up by all specialists, and we'll review the outcome of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was like the general basis of my reading without going into too much detail of like the people involved and everything.
Right. Did you have a positive experience, I guess, after? Like, are you to her? Is she your main?
Oh yeah, she's my main.
Well, thanks for sharing, baby girl.
Thanks so much. So I need to know where you're at now. Like, what are your thoughts?
I think that my perception of that stuff in general is still very much so the same.
You changed my life 0%.
I am very happy that you had a great and positive experience. I think this is the thing, is like, for me, I'm open to everything. Like, I think that like if there are so many different people passionate about it, then my curiosity would take me there at some point. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or to like, my curiosity would take me to believability at some point. Wow. This was enlightening.
I mean, I'm happy to enlighten. I'm happy to help.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, baby girl. I think it's time to put a bow on this one.
All right. So thank you all for listening. Please make sure to follow our new Instagram at allegedly Katie Dakota. My personal Instagram, if you would like to hit follow, is kt.hen.
Mine is Jack? Dakota Etheridge. Don't forget about me, baby girl. Give me a little room to nudge in there now.
Give us a like, subscribe, and follow. A 5-star rating, a follow, turn on our notifications, save our post, share it with your friends, share it with your doctor.
There we go.
All right, guys. We will see you in the next one.